If you're planning to take a cruise over the winter period, there's so much that you need to think about. In this video today, I'm going to share with you 10 things that it is really important to consider if you're cruising over winter. If you enjoy this video today, and if you find it useful, it would be great if you would consider supporting my channel by clicking both the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. If you've just found me today for the first time, then I'm Fraser. I use my YouTube channel to share my cruise experiences, tips, and all of my advice with you. Before we get started, on the 10 things that you need to think about if you're cruising over winter, it's super important to mention that not every part of the world experiences summer and winter at the same time. For example, if it's winter in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be summer in the northern hemisphere. So it's really important that when you book a cruise, particularly if it's further away from home than usual, just make sure that if you're cruising into a different hemisphere, you know if it's summer or winter so that you can prepare accordingly. Now let's get started with number 1 of the 10 things you need to think about if you're cruising over winter, and we're talking about packing. That's right, we're starting with the topic of packing. If you're planning to cruise over winter, you must make sure you get your packing right. If you get caught short and you don't pack the right things, it could be pretty expensive to put that problem right. If I take a cruise out of the United Kingdom over winter, then I will pack my suitcase full of jumpers, sweaters, jackets, even hats and scarves, because typically speaking, most of the cruise ports I go to on a winter itinerary will be pretty cold. It's only if I'm taking a longer cruise over winter that the ship would be able to get far enough to give me some winter sunshine. That said, if I wasn't sunbathing out on deck, it could be quite cold in the shade, so I probably would still take lots of different options. If you think about other parts of the world, like the Caribbean, for example, winter temperatures in Florida, which is where most of those ships start from, can still be really nice and really quite warm. So it's important to remember that if it's winter, what's the weather actually going to be like? Because where I live, winter is pretty much always cold, but that's not the case everywhere. If you were to make the mistake of packing the wrong clothes and you are coming from the USA over to the UK to take a cruise, if you pack for warmer weather, well, it's going to cost you a lot to buy winter clothes, and it's exactly the same going the other way. If you don't have all of your shorts and t-shirt ready, then you might have to buy it all again once you get onto your cruise ship. It's important to remember that although the outside temperatures might differ to what you're used to at home, the inside of the cruise ship is usually kept comfortably warm in the evening and also all during the day. That means that if you are looking forward to going for dinner, going for drinks, or maybe even going to a show on your cruise ship, then you can pack exactly what you usually would pack if you're cruising at any other time of year. The temperature of the ship on the inside generally remains the same year-round. Number 2, spend some time researching and learning about the ports that you're visiting on your cruise, and try to understand if there are any special or seasonal events that you might want to attend while you're travelling. The example that I would give you is that all across Europe, all through the winter, you're going to find Christmas markets or winter markets in so many towns and so many cities. That means that you'll be able to take advantage of some great opportunities to do some Christmas shopping, or maybe just drink some mulled wine, or maybe eat some Christmassy European food. Christmas markets are so much fun, and it's one of my favourite things about cruising, particularly in Europe over the winter period. There are even some cities that will have the cruise ships staying overnight to allow you to head into the city to soak it all in after dark. That means that you can enjoy your evening meal on the cruise ship and then head into the city afterwards. If the cruise ship is docked a little further away from the city itself, you might want to even think about booking a hotel right in the city centre to then have the luxury of staying out late at night, waking up in the morning and heading back to the ship. Most European cruise ports will have you close enough that you could just commute back to the ship, But if you are visiting somewhere like Rome in Italy, or maybe Paris in France, you might want to think about a hotel to fully enjoy your evening, to then come back to the ship the next day. Number 3. Be prepared for itinerary changes. If you're cruising over the summer period, it can be fairly reliable that your itinerary won't really change too much, unless you maybe have some really unfortunate inclement weather, or maybe you have something like a medical emergency on board that means the ship has to reroute to help a passenger get to safety. Over winter, though, it can be a little bit different because, unfortunately, over the winter periods, the seas can be a little bit rougher and the weather can be a little bit more unpredictable. That might mean that some cruise ports are more difficult to get into, or you might just find that the weather doesn't allow a tender operation, for example, which is where you have to use small boats to go from the cruise ship over to the shore. Why is it important that you think about possible itinerary changes when planning your winter cruise? Well, if you've booked excursions through the cruise line, for example, then you'll find that all of your money paid for those excursions will be reimbursed if the ship isn't able to dock. If, however, you use a third-party site like Viator or Get My Guide or so many others out there, you might find that those sites don't offer you flexible cancellation. In other words, if your ship can't dock, you might still lose the money that you've paid for your tours. It's worth checking because there are so many websites out there that will acknowledge the fact that cruise travel is a little more unpredictable, so they will offer very flexible cancellation terms, meaning that if your ship can't dock, you'll get your money back. So yes, number 3, just remember that cruising over winter can sometimes be a little bit more unpredictable from an itinerary change point of view. Number 4, the next thing that you must remember if you're cruising over winter is that no matter what season you cruise in, the views from those decks are going to be absolutely stunning. It would be a shame to not take enough clothes to wrap up with, meaning that you are a bit stuck on the inside of the ship. So this tip is really quick and really easy. Pack jackets, pack a hat, pack some gloves and maybe even a scarf to make sure that you can get out on deck and enjoy what you're seeing from the cruise ship rather than being stuck inside. Number 5, watch a YouTube ship tour to understand what the interior of your ship looks like and also to understand your favourite places to enjoy the scenery from the warmth and the comfort of the inside of the ship. An example I would give here is that I took a cruise to Alaska, which was a much colder weather itinerary than I was used to at the time. I watched a ship tour here on YouTube and I was able to identify a particular cafe on board that had huge windows overlooking what was pretty incredible scenery. That meant that when I got onto the ship, and especially during our scenic cruising days, I knew that from day one, I was going to spend a lot of time at that cafe or that coffee shop rather than running around trying to find the best place to sit. You're already on YouTube, you're already watching this video. All you have to do is type in the cruise ship name that you're planning to cruise on, plus the words full ship tour or just ship tour, and so many options should come up. There are so many YouTubers out there, myself included, who love to walk you around all of the cruise ships that we travel on. So search for it on YouTube and have a look to understand what your ship looks like before you get on board. Number 6, when you're trying to decide which ship you want to book for your winter cruise, think specifically about colder or more inclement weather. If you're cruising in a part of the world that won't see blazing sunshine over winter, think about the facilities that you would like to use if it was colder outside. Think about things like indoor solariums or maybe even full indoor pools that you can enjoy going for a morning swim without getting out of the water and shivering away over to the side, running back to your cabin or stateroom to try and warm up. Some cruise ships have got amazing facilities, including full thermal suite areas built on the outside of the ship, allowing you to then see the ocean and take in the views from the comfort of, for example, a sauna or a steam room. They are really impressive. You do find that other ships are built very much for the sunshine, meaning that if you want to spend time on the top deck by the swimming pool, you're going to probably be pretty cold on most winter itineraries. So yes, if you are cruising over winter and you're looking at a part of the world that will probably be, let's say, a little cooler from a temperature point of view, then try and book a ship that's got facilities that you'll enjoy using in that colder weather. For example, indoor pools or indoor solariums. Number 7. If you're planning to take a cruise over the Christmas window specifically, then be prepared to be in awe of some of the cruise ship's decorations. The cruise ships look absolutely stunning over the Christmas window. Sometimes I love to just take a cruise a couple of weeks before Christmas so that I can get really in the Christmas spirit. There are trees everywhere, there are garlands coming down the staircases, there are even in some cases inflatable characters all around the cruise ship. I absolutely adore how every cruise ship from every cruise line is decorated so differently. You'll find that the window for Christmas decorations being on a ship does vary by cruise line. Usually from early December until the first week of January, you'll find Christmas decorations on board, although some cruise lines do decorate slightly earlier, some decorate slightly later. I was on a cruise where by the end of the first week of December, the decorations still weren't up, and that cruise line were actually waiting until the Christmas cruise before they put the trees up. So if you do, like me, absolutely love Christmas, you can always give the cruise line a call before you book, if that would sway your decision, and they will know when you give them a call, when they're planning to decorate the ships. But take it from me, they are well worth seeing, and they are absolutely beautiful. Number 8. On the subject of Christmas decorations, the 8th thing that you might want to think about if you're cruising over winter, and specifically again, that Christmas window, why not take a decoration, either for your room or for your cabin door? Personally, I love cruising. I obviously love to cruise and I love to travel, but around the Christmas period, I sometimes do feel a little homesick when I'm on a cruise ship rather than at home. One thing that really does help me is to take a small Christmas decoration with me that I usually just hang on a shelf in my cabin or stateroom. That means that every time I look at that, it reminds me that it's Christmas. And I just love looking at what is one of my favourite little Christmas baubles hanging up in my cabin. You can always hang that bauble or hang that decoration on the outside of your cabin door. That might also help you find your cabin after a few beers or a few glasses of wine in the evening. Some cruise lines will decorate cabins, particularly if you are cruising on higher end cruise lines or if you're cruising in suite accommodation. I've seen some cruise ships decorate suites with their own individual Christmas trees. I've even seen some cruise ships put garlands around the cabin numbers as you walk along the corridor. There are so many variations, but from my point of view, I always like, if I'm cruising over the Christmas window or close to Christmas, to take a little decoration to remind me of home. Number 9, think really carefully about which add-ons you'd like to add to your booking if you're cruising over winter. The example that I have here is drinks packages. Personally, if I take a cruise over winter, I'm far less likely to add a drinks package to my booking. That is because in the colder weather, I, generally speaking, don't drink as much as if I'm on a warmer itinerary. If I'm on a summer or a warmer weather cruise, I absolutely love lying by the pool, having a few beers, having a few cocktails, and then maybe even going a walk around the deck after dinner with a glass of wine. That means that very quickly I can get my money's worth out of a drinks package that I've bought. However, if I cruise over winter and I'm not spending time by the swimming pool or spending time relaxing in the sun, I personally would be less likely to order that extra beer or order maybe that extra cocktail. That means that it's far more cost efficient for me to pay as I go over a winter cruise than what it would be if I'm travelling over summer. Now, this is very individually person specific because I know some people who would rather go to the bar on board and enjoy more beers, for example, if the weather's cold outside. So think about it with your own circumstances, for me personally, I need to think about drinks packages because it would be a waste of money for me to apply a drinks package onto a winter cruise. That said, if you're cruising with lots of your friends, or if you prefer to cozy up inside with your drink, then you might want to make sure that you've got your drinks package on your winter cruise. You might be less likely to apply it in the summer. So it's totally up to you. Number 10. And this is one I didn't even know existed before I started cruising. If you're cruising over the Christmas window, make sure you know when Santa Claus or Father Christmas is going to be visiting your cruise ship. I didn't realise that cruise lines allowed Santa Claus to fly onto the cruise ship, usually with reindeer included, to deliver various Christmas gifts all around the ship. You might find those gifts are at your cabin or stateroom door when you wake up. You might find that your cabin attendant might leave you a little gift on your bed at some point, or you might find that Father Christmas or Santa Claus will have a specific event dedicated somewhere on board. I've seen videos here on YouTube of Santa coming down in the huge glass lift in that atrium being cheered by all the passengers. I've also seen Santa walking around the dining room in the evening. So make sure if you are cruising over that Christmas window, and particularly if you are cruising with young children, check with your ship or cruise line when Santa Claus or Father Christmas will be permitted to land on that cruise ship, and make sure that you don't miss out. And that's 10 things that you should really be thinking about if you're planning to cruise over winter. Here on YouTube, I have got so many more videos to share with you, offering you so many more tips and so much more advice to hopefully help you have the best cruise possible when your time to board comes around. As I mentioned at the start of this video, if you have enjoyed this one and if you found it useful, then I would massively appreciate your support by clicking both the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. If you have enjoyed this video, then why not come and join me in another one? I would love you to. Over in this video, I'm sharing with you 10 mistakes that I can't really believe that first-time cruisers are making over and over again. They have since my first cruise, and they're still making them today. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I'll hopefully see you over here or in another one of my videos. Thank you.